this album actually wasn't supposed to be their first album, because before in 1986 or so, they released their first ever album was supposedly called Abominations of Desolation. But they didn't put that at the time. So instead, this was their debut album, which came out in 1989. And what can I say? This is one of the best albums in death metal history. It's just wow, like everything about this is great. Like produced at More Sound Studios, like in Tampa, Florida, where a lot of the whole big name death metal bands like Obituary and Cannibal Corpse have recorded like some of their classic hits right there. And I feel like in this, you can definitely hear like a little bit of like Slayer, Dark Angel, Creator, Possess, and other monstrosities within its fold. The production is just great. It has that gritty, old school sounding death metal production. And over in there, like the vocal work from David Vincent is just great. It feels like he has a little bit more of a harsher, barked evolution and more intense than like thrash metal. Has that little like darker feel to it. Guitar wise, is a Trey Azagath and Richard Brunel's guitar playing is just sick. Just like the leads they come up with, is just sick. And what can I say about Pete Sandoval? Like, in my opinion, I feel like he's probably my favorite death metal drummer of all time. I'm not saying like in drummer in metal in general, just like in death metal period. Yeah, just like the shit that he does is just fucking incredible. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now, starting off this album is the song called Immortal Rites, which paves the ghastly path with its infamous reverse guitar intro, colossal drum performance, and more curving, squealing, and flesh-carving riffs they could initially count. And not to mention the highly atmospheric breakdown around like the 2-minute mark of the song, along with sort of like a slower but still precision chopping and the trill of its synthesized heraldry like Lords of Death I Summon Thee. I mean, who else could forget about this? Going into the next song, which is Suffocation. It's kind of weird how the second song is like a song named after another great death metal band, but this song is like attempts to beat the memory straight out of you with like malignant levies of like staggering brutality, alternating smooth currents of carnage in the verses to like the splattering eruption of the leads, and that amazing descending passage around like the minute and 50-second mark. It's just wow. Visions of the Dark Side, which just explodes with what by this point is the most accessible, catchy structure of the album, from the baleful razor bliss of the dual melody around the 20-second mark to the almost happy grooves inherent of the verse. And attention should be spent here on like David Vincent's like bass lines, which are incredibly fluent as they twist below like Trey's like juggernaut expositions on his guitar playing. It's just great. Maze of Torment, which opens with just shrill gutter force, almost like old school Death Angel around like ultraviolent era, but quickly transforming into like a neck battering onslaught of perplexing rhythmic thrust that evokes imagery of seraphim being delivered multiple full stab wounds, which is wow. Lords of All Fevers and Plague. Now this was actually exclusive to only the CD version on here, back when you had to like given more to paying for, but this is a slight slicing edition with some entropic leads and just grisly gallantry. Chapel of Ghouls, which I pretty much consider it like the apex of this album. This is an exercise not only the intensity via Trey and concrete joint work with like Pete Sandoval, but arching and ebbing patterns of disgust that incessantly tear through the listener with like unfriendly velocity before the magnificent breakdown within like the 2-minute mark with its epic haunting keyboard line, and the gates of the old chapel burst asunder. Its contents spill forth into the cold night mist, rampaging silently through the sepulchre before the sate of the undead hunger on the nearest village of unsuspecting living. Surely this is one of the greatest moments pretty much in all of death metal, in my opinion. And now I get to like the final third of the album. I feel like this is like the only place where a chink in the armor is exposed, coming with perhaps all too straightforward the song Bleed for the Devil. Now don't get me wrong, this is one of the hectic storm of savagery that will peel the paint off artillery as surely as a nuclear wind, but despite the dizzying lead breaks and virulent speed. There is just something missing in this song. It's the only reason, like, I don't think this is going to be a perfect score, but yeah. But then Damnation is immediately more interesting with like a guillotine curvature. Blasphemy, which spits forth frag grenades of concussion through a flaying effect nestled in like the earlier verses, and the morbid death hymns of the bridge. And then the album closes with Evil Spells, which possesses of incredibly memorable guitar rhythms, a lead splatter, and just about everything you liked about its predecessors, a summit of sin and scourge. And it's a great way to end this album. Now, of course, if you have the CD version, it also includes like alternate solo, the remixes of Maze of Torment and Chapter of Ghouls and Blasphemy, which is meant only as an addendum, but it doesn't like detract from the appreciation despite like the obvious redundancy. So overall, Altars of Madness, great debut album, and one of the best death metal classic. So if I were to give this album a score, I'm probably going to give this a solid 9 out of 10. So yeah, that's my review of Altars of Madness, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it. And I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.